Is this all we have to use to estimate employment numbers for the Social Security Administration? Not even close. Let us get into the options you do have. Hello, I'm Marilyn Stroud, CEO and owner of Stroud Vocational Expert Services. I'm here today to talk about being, becoming, and growing as a vocational expert witness for the Social Security Administration. Thanks for joining me. I just showed you the cover of the DOT, otherwise known as the Dictionary of Occupational Titles. This has been the guiding document for testimony about job descriptions and job numbers and characteristics of jobs ever since I've been a vocational expert. And I know it was around a long time before that. The problem is that this document, is really old, like 1991 old. So how does it compare overall to other sources of information that are actually relevant to industries and occupational information for today? And while we do a comparison, we really need to understand what we are comparing data for. What we are specifically looking at today is estimating national employment numbers. For those of you who are already testifying as a Social Security Administration vocational expert witness, you know that estimating national employment numbers, or in the case of, say, Puerto Rico state employment numbers, this estimation is a critical part of the job. The administrative law judge relies on this bit of data to actually help them make some of their decisions when they are acting on behalf of SSA regarding whether or not that claim will be granted for disability status. So today, the main comparison is in estimating national employment numbers. We're going to use two sources. One is the Job Browser Pro, and the next is the Occupational Employment Statistics, or OES for short, site, which is listed under the Bureau of Labor Statistics, or BLS.gov. Each of these has pluses and minuses. For the Job Browser, which I highly recommend, the source data is right up in front, that is contained within Job Browser Pro, and also the DOT or DOT information, which is already proving, meaning that it has already been vetted by the Social Security Administration, and you know that the data you're getting out of that is something that will stand up in court. Job Browser Pro actually includes all the cross-references so that you can actually do a crosswalk across as well to ONET for the Occupational Network or OES data. This will help out with your testimony. Then in the ease of use really shines. Job Browser Pro really presents everything in a compact format, and especially during testimony, which makes it easier to present and therefore also easy to defend. Finally, one of the actual great things about Job Browser Pro is it's already been accepted for use by the Social Security Administration, and they actually use it themselves as well as other peers in our industry and attorneys and other individuals throughout the voc rehab industry. For the Occupational Employment Statistics, OES site, which again falls out of the Bureau of Labor Statistics data sources overall, buys the DOT or Dictionary of Occupational Titles, especially the source of data for OES for National Employment Statistics, comes from a 3-year rotating database of data that comes from the BLS. That data is actually kind of in flux, currently using the last 3 years of data. However, they are refining their measurement methodology so they could present even finer data in the future. One of the negatives for OES is that it doesn't present any farm data, but the cross-references are all there, so you can still do a crosswalk to ONET or whatever else you need. Another issue with OES is that the data is not presented in the ease of use format like Job Browser Pro. Therefore, it makes it a little bit harder to defend, and it really puts the onus back on you, the vocational expert, to do the preparation up front and make sure you are prepared to defend it now rather than it already being proven. But the proof of the comparison really comes when you look at an occupation. So for instance, we pull a cashier as an occupation because there's loads of cashiers that are out there in all different industries, and we all deal with them every single day. Whether you're at Walmart or Home Depot or whatever, you are going to deal with a cashier at some point. So I pull this cashier data from the Occupational Employment Statistics website. I get 3.5 million plus cashiers in the national economy, and this is from May 2019. And I know that going back to my source of the BLS data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, that's a tabulated data amount over the last 3 years, regardless of the methodology and how it's non-farm because it's cashier. As I move forward, I can also show in Puerto Rico that there are 17 to 45K jobs. So really not refined there for Puerto Rico. But the numbers are there. And then if I want to go to a crosswalk, back over to ONET and get the SVP, our specific vocational preparation, and maybe some of the educational characteristics to be able to take into testimony. Now we flip sides over to Job Browser Pro. On the national economy, I have a number of 1.7 million versus 15,000 in Puerto Rico. As you can see, compared to the OES group numbers, this is wildly different numbers. Both sets of numbers are legitimate. However, the DOT methodology is focused towards the selected characteristics of the occupations versus employment numbers or occupational employment statistics, which falls under the OES. So there are selected characteristics of the occupations versus job number, which is two different sets of data. I know the data is at least good over the last 3 years. However, when crosswalked to what is a cashier now and really what a cashier's outlook looks like in the days moving ahead, will show occupational group numbers, meaning all the cashiers in all industries and not a specific cashier within a specific industry. For instance, a cashier at a grocery store requires different physical demand than that of a fast food worker cashier or a bank cashier. I am a firm believer in the use of Job Browser by SkillTRAN as the primary tool of classifying and researching job numbers. Job Browser Pro breaks the occupational groups down so the VE is able to identify to most closely related, for instance the cashier, to match the job description the claimant has provided and how the work was actually performed. Hopefully this has helped you in understanding that estimating national employment numbers isn't as simple as plugging in an occupation and getting a specific number. The key really comes down to understanding what you're using, what the source of the data is that has helped build that model that you're looking at, where it comes from, and then how you can defend the data when you take it into testimony. If this was helpful, you can get into the full courseware available now in the VELaunchpad and earn pre-approved CEU credits along the way. Check us out at stroudve.talentlms.com or in the link in the episode notes. Remember, we will be here every week, so don't miss it. You can subscribe now by hitting the bell for notifications. Let's start learning together.